Iain from Armchair here. Welcome to another album ranking show, and today this is part 5 of the Jeff Lynne story. So we've already discovered that he's been in many bands and produced stuff, and he still found time to make some solo albums. Which is amazing because he's such a busy bloke. And he's only made 2 official solo albums. One of them that he used every instrument, and the other he got some friends in, and then we have got an honourable mention today. So, without further ado, let's have a look at these 2 albums. Very difficult to rank 2 albums, as it is always. They're both great albums. Play them both as much as each other. So I've done it like this. So coming in at 9 is the second solo album by Jeff Lynne, and it's called Longwave, released in 2012. The album contains cover versions of songs that influenced Jeff Lynne's songwriting while growing up as a young man. So the first track on this album is She by Charles Aznavour. Came out in 1974 as originally. Jeff's version is great. It's a great version of this song. It's strong, great production on it as ever. Really good version. Next song on the album is If I Loved You. This is obviously a Rodgers and Hammerstein composition that was from the musical Carousel, released in 1956. Now I've got a small confession about this one. I think this version's better than the one on the film Carousel. It's a great track. It's a good song, always been a good song, but Jeff's version is just fantastic. Third song, So Sad to Watch Good Love Go Bad, Everly Brothers, of course, from 1960. It hasn't changed it much at all. He does this one justice. Excellent version. Then we get Mercy Mercy, originally done by a guy called Don Convey. And then Out of Our Heads, albums by the Rolling Stones, they did a version of this. I'll say it again, this is the best version of this song I've heard. Great song, fantastic. Next track, Roy Orbison track. Great friend of Jeff, and we did a brilliant version of Running Scared. My favourite track on the album, actually. It's one of my favourite Roy Orbison tracks, but Jeff does a fantastic version of this. It is truly amazing. Then we get Bewitched, Bothered and Bewildered. It's a show tune from a musical called Pal Joey. It came out in about 1940. It was recorded by Doris Day, like in the 40s. Rod Stewart did a version of this on his Great American Songbook 2, As Time Goes By. And then you get another great version of this song by Jeff Lynne. Excellent stuff. Next track is a track called Smile. It's written by a certain Charlie Chaplin, Joe Turner and Jeffrey Parsons, for a film that called Modern Times in 1936. Tony Bennett did a version of this in 1959, and guess what? This song is as good as any version of this you're going to get. Jeff does it brilliantly. Then we get At Last, another song from a musical. This is from Sun Valley Serenade, 1941. Glenn Miller did a version of this in 1942. Etta James has probably done the most popular version, and Jeff has got this habit of taking these real classic songs and turning them even to a better song, as he does on this version. Terrific song. Then we get Love Is a Melly Splendor Thing, another song from a show, 1955. Great version again, really good. Then he does a Chuck Berry number, Let It Rock. Does again, brilliant version. Really brings out the best of that tune. From 1960, that is Chuck Berry. And the last track on the album is Beyond the Sea, written by Charles Tarrant, but was popularised, of course, by Bobby Darin in 1959. And I keep saying this about this album, this is the best version of it, and I'm not just saying that because it's Jeff Lynne. I just think this is the best version of it. He's kept that 50s feel to it. Let's just give it that little bit of an extra edge from Bobby Darin's version. This is a brilliant album of covers. A lot of these versions on this, personally, think are far better than the originals. Jeff just really has modernised these classics, and it's a fantastic album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. So coming in at number 1, we have his first solo album released in 1990, called Armchair Theatre. It's not just Jeff Lynne on here. Jeff Lynne plays a lot of the instruments, guitars, piano, bass, auto harp. We've got George Harrison on a few of the tracks. Plays on track 1, 3, 5, and 9. Richard Tandy plays acoustic guitar and piano. Met Matheson plays the drums, except on one track, and that's track 10, and that's Mr. Ringo Starr. And a guy called Phil Hatton did some backing vocals. Okay, first track on this album is a little number called Every Little Thing. Love this song. Piano work from Mr. Richard Tandy on this is pretty good. It's quite jazzy, but with a modern version. Been put in the Jeff Lynne machine, and it's a pretty good song. Second song on the album is a cover called Don't Let Go. It's a rockabilly number that was recorded by Roy Hamilton in 1958. He does this justice. He hasn't changed it much at all, and it's really brilliant. Third track is Lift Me Up, favourite track on the album. George Harrison's slide guitar on this is brilliant. Great harmonies with Jeff and George. Awesome song. Then we get Nobody Home, another great track. Love the guitar work from Jeff on this. Typical Jeff Lynne song. Fantastic. And we get another cover. We get September Song. It comes from a Broadway musical from 1938. Frank Sinatra sang it, Ella Fitzgerald. It's a great song, and this is another good version by Jeff. It's just brilliant. Then we get a little track called Now You're Gone. another good track. It's got some nice vocals on this. It's a little bit different. It's a bit mystique in places, but the harmonies on this are absolutely brilliant. And then we get what would it take? Great elements of Jeff Lynne here as a producer, composer and musician. Terrific song. Then we get another cover, Stormy Weather. First sung in 1933 by Ethel Waters. Lots of people have covered this. Frank Sinatra, Julie Garland, Etta James, Ella Fitzgerald, Cloda Rogers, Billie Holiday are some of the most notable people. But again, Jeff Lynne does an absolutely banging version of this. It's still done in that style. He keeps it to its traditional sound. Absolutely brilliant. Then we get a track called Blown Away. He co-wrote this with Tom Petty. This could have been on a Tom Petty Travelling Wilburys album, even a modern day ELO album. It's a great track, great lyrics, great sound, brilliant track. And the last track on here is a little ditty called Save Me Now. Basically it's Jeff playing his guitar on his own. Awesome stuff. This is an amazing album. This just proves what a great musician, producer Jeff Lynne is. There is not a bad track on both these albums. They are solid tracks, all of them. But this one just edges it a little bit because there's a lot of his songs that he wrote. I think that's why it is my number one. Not taking anything away from Longwave. Brilliant album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.5. Okay, I have got an honourable mention today. This is an album he put out called Mr. Blue Sky, the very best of the Electric Light Orchestra. He did this at the same time that he was recording Longwave. And Jeff Lynne told the Rolling Stone magazine, I'll quote what he says. He says, it came from him listening to the original ELO recordings and thinking he could produce a better result having a good career as a producer now, and he decided to re-record these songs from scratch and played every instrument. He said he enjoyed doing this, and he said some of the tracks, like the first one he did was Mr. Blue Sky, and he said he compared it to the old one and he said he really liked this one much better. And then his management says, why don't you do a few more? And yeah, that's what happened. So on this compilation, I mean, it's a great little compilation. It's got some of their best songs. Just Jeff brought them up to date, and they are great. I'm not knocking the old versions. I do like these versions as well. We got Mr. Blue Sky. It's not the full version. It's not the orchestral bit at the end. It just ends. Got the single version. Evil Woman, excellent version. Strange Magic. Now this does sound a lot better than the original one. It's one of the tracks that does. Very good version. We've got Don't Bring Me Down, a really great version of Turn to Stone, Showdown, Telephone Line, Living Thing, Do Ya. Then you do get again a pretty better version of Can't Get You Out of My Head. I think it's the best version of this song. It is fantastic. Then he does a great version of the 10538 Overture, belting version. And there's a track on here that's never been heard, called The Point of No Return. I think this song could have been recorded by any of the people that he has worked with over the years. It's just a great rock track, fantastic track, good little compilation. If you haven't got it and you're a big ELO fan, check this one out. He's not changed them at all. He's just gone in, recorded all the parts again, and put it together into a very, very good greatest hits album. Okay, we've only got one more part of the Jeff Lynne story to do next week, and we're going to basically look at Jeff Lynne as the producer. He's produced quite a lot of albums, so I've put together some of the most significant ones that he's recorded and people he's recorded with, and I shall be ranking them. But that's not all for today, of course. We have got retro ranking coming up, and today we're looking at T-Rex, Mark Boland, one of my favourite artists from the 1970s. So that'll be a bit of a trip down memory lane for a lot of us. Hope you can join me for that later. So until then, bye for now.